You've read the books. You know the concepts: non-duality, presence, the witness, the self. You can explain emptiness to a friend. You understand impermanence. You've memorized quotes from a dozen masters. And yet, something still feels missing. The peace they describe feels like a destination you're reading about, but never reaching. The more you learn, the further away it seems. You thought knowledge would set you free. Instead, it built a more sophisticated prison. What if the very thing you're using to find freedom is the thing keeping you from it? In a small apartment in Mumbai, a man who sold cigarettes from a tiny shop spent his days pointing to something wordless. Nisargadatta Maharaj didn't write books. He didn't create systems. He sat in a room, barely larger than a closet, and dismantled every spiritual idea you ever cherished. His teaching was ruthless in its simplicity. Stop building concepts and be quiet. Not quiet as in silent meditation. Quiet as in, stop the endless production of words about reality and meet reality itself. He would say it bluntly: words can bring you only up to their own limit. To go beyond, you must abandon them. Today, we're not here to add more ideas to your collection. We're here to recognize what happens when we stop collecting entirely. This contemplation invites you to rest in the space before words arise, the silence that's been here all along, waiting beneath every question you've ever asked. By the end, what you've been searching for might reveal itself not as something distant, but as the very awareness listening these words right now. Think about what happens when you start speaking. The moment a word leaves your mouth, you create a world. Not a real world, a verbal world, a universe made entirely of symbols, definitions, and abstractions. Each word points to another word. Each concept explains itself through more concepts. The whole structure is self-referencing, self-sustaining, endlessly elaborating, and none of it is real. It's like collecting maps of a country you've never visited. You study every street. You memorize every landmark. You know the terrain perfectly on paper, but you've never felt the ground beneath your feet. You've never breathed the air. The map is not the territory, and the menu is not the meal. Nisargadatta called this the trap of the mind. You think you're learning about truth when you read spiritual texts, but you're actually learning a language. You're building a more refined prison made of better ideas. He would ask his visitors, "You know so many words, but do you know yourself? Have you noticed this in yourself? The way understanding becomes a substitute for experience. The way you think about presence instead of simply being present. Here's the painful irony. You accumulate teachings like treasure: Advaita, Dzogchen, Zen koans, sutras, the direct path, progressive paths, the pathless path. Your mind becomes a library, and the more books on the shelf, the harder it becomes to find the silence between them, because truth isn't in the books, it's in the space where reading stops. You read that you are not the body. Good. You read that you are not the mind. Excellent. You read that you are pure awareness, timeless and boundless. Beautiful. These words create images in your mind, and then you start relating to those images. You think about awareness instead of being awareness, but you are not an image. You are not a thought. You are the power of perceiving itself, the capacity to be aware of thoughts, words, and images, including the images of spiritual concepts. Nisargadatta was surgical about this. You are entangled in the net of verbal definitions and formulations. Go beyond your concepts and ideas. In the silence of desire and thought, the truth is found. The net is subtle. It doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like progress. You think, I'm learning, I'm evolving, I'm closer. But the mind loves this game. It will study non-duality for decades. And all the while, the simple fact of your own existence, right here, right now, goes unnoticed. So what's the way out? Nisargadatta gave one answer. Just one. And it wasn't what anyone expected. Not through more knowledge, through recognition, not through accumulating truths, but through subtracting everything false. His method was radical in its simplicity. He didn't give elaborate practices. He gave one instruction. Stay with the feeling, I am, not the thought, I am, not the concept. The raw, wordless sense of existing. Before you name it, before you analyze it, before you turn it into a spiritual project. Just this, the sense of being here. He said, bring your mind to the feeling, I am. The I am is not a direction. It is the negation of all directions. This isn't meditation in the usual sense. It's not concentration. It's not visualization. It's recognition. You already are. You don't need to achieve being. You simply need to stop overlooking it while you search for something more impressive. In a moment, I'll invite you into this recognition, not as a technique to master. As a doorway, you've been standing in front of your entire life. But first, understand, what I'm about to suggest might feel too simple. Your mind might resist. It might say, that's it? That can't be enough. That resistance is the trap revealing itself. Let's do something together. An experiment in stopping. For the next 30 seconds. Don't try to understand anything. Don't analyze these words. Don't think about what comes next. Simply notice that you exist. Not as a body, not as a story, just the bare fact. Awareness is here. Don't name it. Don't describe it. Don't reach for it. Just notice. Breathe. That's it. Nothing more. No technique to perfect. No state to achieve. This, whatever just noticed itself, is what Nisargadatta was pointing to. It's wordless. It's immediate. It's been here the entire time, beneath every word you've ever read. Now, here's where it gets practical. You can't live in a cave. You have a life, work, relationships, problems. You're going to keep thinking. You're going to keep using words. That's fine. Nisargadatta ran a cigarette shop. He didn't reject the world, but he did suggest something simple. Stop feeding the verbal machine. Today, when you reach for your phone to Google another spiritual question, pause. When you open another book looking for the answer, pause. When your mind says, maybe this next teacher will finally explain it, that pause is the doorway, not the pause as a technique, the pause as recognition. In that space between the urge to seek and the act of seeking, something is already present, something that doesn't need more information, something that's been watching every search you've ever conducted. Imagine standing at the edge of a lake, endlessly reading books about water. Nisargadatta is simply saying, stop reading and drink. That's the silence he meant. not the absence of sound, the absence of mental accumulation, the moment when you stop building concepts and simply are. He would say, peace and silence, silence and peace. This is the way beyond. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you stop mistaking description for experience. You stop confusing the menu for the meal. You can still read. You can still learn. But you hold it lightly. You don't let words become a substitute for the wordless truth they point toward. And here's the secret. The moment you stop demanding that life explain itself verbally, it starts revealing itself directly. Not through concepts, through presence, through the simple, obvious, impossible to miss fact that you are. What have you been seeking all this time? Peace? Freedom? Awakening? Nisargadatta would ask, who is seeking? And can that seeker, made of thoughts, made of words, ever find what's beyond thought? Or is the very one aware of the seeking already what you're looking for? Before you go searching for another answer, consider this. You've accumulated so much knowledge. You've tried so hard. You've been so sincere. And still, here you are, watching these words, aware of this moment, effortlessly present. What if that's it? What if the awareness that's listening this video is the same awareness Nisargadatta spoke of, not as a concept, as the simple, undeniable fact, I am, not I am someone, not I am something, just I am. Rest there, not as a practice, as recognition. The truth you've been seeking through words is the silence that remains when all words end. If this resonated, if you felt even a glimpse of that silence beneath the noise, share it. Every share spreads a little less noise and a little more stillness into the world. This channel is for those who've stopped seeking and started recognizing. Join us. Explore more contemplations on the channel, other masters, other doorways, but always returning to the same silence. The peace you seek isn't far away. It's closer than your next thought. It's here, now, always. Rest here. You never left.